See, I don't want to lie and say it was easy because it was far from easy. I remember, like, not only did I just get released, but you got to remember, I also, less than 24 hours to being released, I had got on a plane, and I'd never been on a plane before. I had got on a plane and just flown 13 hours away. It was like a 3 hour plane trip, but still, this is 13 hours away. So now I'm in a complete foreign area, foreign territory where I know nobody. The only people I lived with was my aunt, my uncle, and my cousin. So other than them three people, I knew nobody around. I remember my cousin had took me to meet my parole officer. So he drops me off at her office. He says, "I'll be back in a couple hours to get you." He said, "I got to go to the bank." I said, "Okay, that's fine." Well, I'm figuring I'm gonna be in here, half a day or something. I walk in there, and I'm there like 15 minutes, and she's like, "Okay, you're free to go." I said, my ride just left, and I mean, I have a phone, but I barely know how to use it because, I mean, I know how to use it, but it's foreign to me. I mean, I'm like, I'm scared to walk around. I'm scared to get on my phone because I don't want to get in trouble. Like, I don't want to talk to people because I feel like they're already looking at me. So she's like, "No, you're good to go." I'm like, "All right." So I walk outside and I call my cousin. I'm like, "Hey, I'm done. Can you come back and get me?" He's like, "Hey, I'm already at the bank. I'm talking to this lady." He's like, "It's going to be at least an hour before I can get back there." I'm like, "Well, what should I do?" He said, "I don't know. Walk to the store or something." And I'm like, "Oh man, this is terrible." So I walk down the street, and let me remind you, like, the feeling I'm having at the time being is that the cars going by are pointing at me, that everyone's looking at me. I mean, I don't think they actually were, but at the time being, it felt like it. And I've never had anxiety issues for the most part. And right now I'm like in the middle of an anxiety attack. Like, my heart's beating. I can hear my heartbeat in my ears. My blood pressure's through the roof. Well, I walk in a Big Lots. I'll never forget. I walk into Big Lots, and when I was let me backtrack. While I'm in prison, we had, like, hygiene wise, we had like one shampoo or two shampoos and like one conditioner, two kinds of toothpaste, and like one toothbrush. Like, so our hygiene products and food products were limited, to say the least. So I walk in Big Lots and I'm like, I'm gonna go look at toothpaste and some hair products. Um, so I walk over there and start looking around, and they have like a whole entire aisle of different kinds of toothpaste. And like, I'm in awe looking at these toothpastes, and I'm lost in a trance. And I'm looking at toothpaste for like 30 minutes, well, at least 15 minutes, and I don't pick one up because I just don't know which one to get. Too many options, to say the least. And this lady walks up who works there. She's like, "Excuse me, sir." She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just looking." She's like, "All right, well, if you need any help, let me know, and I'll help you." And I'm like, "All right, yes, ma'am." And I'm like, "Where's yours, this shampoo at?" And she showed me. I'm thinking maybe this would like limit my issue a little bit. I walk over there, and it seemed like there was even more shampoo and conditioner than there was toothpaste. So now I'm like in another situation where I'm like, I'm mind blown again. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like, what do I do?" And she's like, "Is there anything in me help you find?" And I'm like, "You know what?" I was like, I think I'm just going to go." And she's like, "Well, you're all right." I'm like, "It's okay. You guys don't have the product I want." She's like, "All right, sir, have a good day." I'm like, "I'm gonna get a Sprite though." So I stop and grab a soda, and I grab that and check out. And I'm like, "All right, thank you. You guys have a good day." And I leave. And I walk outside and I'm shaking. I've been in the store for like 30 minutes and didn't buy nothing but a bottle of pop. I'm shaking so bad, like a leaf on a tree. And I walk outside and I'm looking around, and I'm like, "Man, I just wish he would hurry up." And I remember walking over and sitting down. I walked across the parking lot and I sat down on a curb, and I literally put my head between my knees, and I started crying. Tears came to my eyes, and I felt like people was looking at me, and I just felt like, I don't know, I felt lost. I felt like the weight on my shoulders was weighing me down. And I remember this girl I grew up with, her name's Carly. She texted me like, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, "Honestly, I'm scared." And she's like, "Why? What's wrong?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, I'm really having an anxiety attack right now. I don't know what's going on." I was like, I'm freaking out." So I keep my head between my legs for like 10, 15 minutes. I probably looked scary to most people who went by. They probably were pointing at me by this time. They're probably like, "What's this guy doing over here with his head between his legs?" And finally, my cousin gets there, and I get in his car. I was like, "Don't ever leave me again." He's like, "Why? What happened?" And I was like, "Bro, I don't know." I was like, I'm having an anxiety attack. I'm freaking out. Just please don't leave me again." He's like, "Alrighty, I won't." And so we go back to his house and we're hanging out. And it felt like the first 3 or 4 days were just like a trance. Like, I just, like you had said, the other fellow said he couldn't sleep real well. Like, I still, to this day, I've been out 5 months and I'm a light sleeper. Any noises wake me up for the most part. Um, Granted, it's easier for me to fall asleep now because there's not like lights on and I don't have to listen to people make noise and I don't have to sleep with earplugs in. But still, it's still like an anxiety thing it's still hard for me to just know that I'm safe, because I still feel like there's a situation that could occur and something could arise. And I'm always, and then another thing is I try to be very optimistic about things and think about positives and be happy. But when it comes to like different situations, like people who like walk by me and give me weird looks or walk down the street and look like strange characters, I'm instantly thinking the worst. I'm instantly thinking this guy's up to no good. Or if someone comes and knocks on the door real loud, I'm like, what's going on? Or if I'm driving down the street and I pass a cop, wholeheartedly, I'm doing nothing wrong. I rarely speed. My seatbelt's always on. I don't have no drugs on me, but I'm still scared. I'm still checking for my seatbelt. I'm still patting my pockets down. I'm still I'm holding the steering wheel with two hands, like just because I'm traumatized and I'm affected, from the things I went through and trying to get back to some normalcy is hard. Like the other day I was at work and it's like I said, it's been 5 months. So you'd think I would be normal by now. And I feel like I am working on becoming normal and I'm getting closer and closer each day. But my manager, she walked past me and she kind of touched my back. She's like, "Excuse me, hon." And when she touched me, I jumped. And she's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, I'm sorry. And she's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was like, "I'm sorry. I mean, no disrespect." And she's like, "Oh, it's okay." Well, she kept walking and she's like, she talked to another worker and she's like, "Well," she said, "maybe it was because he was incarcerated." And she knew I was incarcerated. So she comes back and she's like, "Did I startle you because maybe like you're incarcerated?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, I'm just not used to being touched. Like, if I can see you coming up on me and we hug, our handshake, that's awesome. But you touch me when I'm not looking, it startles me because, situations that I've seen in my past and I've been in, it's very hectic and loud noises still scare me. I'm so used to hearing like if chairs bang or in there, if chairs scoot real loud or if you hear a door slam or someone yells, something bad's getting ready to happen. And so I've associated those things and I built associations with loud noises and people yelling and people moving fast with bad situations. And still to this day, like I hear a door slam or a table slide across the floor or a bottle break or something, I'm jumping and I'm looking around and frantic and my heart's beating real fast because I'm thinking, I'm getting ready to see a fight or, someone's getting ready to get hurt or so it's hard, what I mean? And I know it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen today. It might not happen tomorrow or the next day, but I know if I just stay on the path and stay focused and, keep doing what's important, which is, waking up in the morning, going to work, staying responsible, staying humble and taking care of what needs done, staying focused, then I will be back to normal or some normalcy, what's normal for the new me. Maybe not what was normal for me when I was a kid or a young adult, but what's normal for my future. I just got to stay focused.